At NTV, and we are at the Kickstarter segment. We shall be talking preparations for the rerun of NRM Youth Polls as we examine the electoral landscape ahead of the 2026 general elections. I have a whole host of panelists who will be helping us with insight and perspective into what is set to happen on the 18th of September. That is when the rerun of the elections is scheduled, as a decision that was taken by the Central Executive Committee of the governing party. In studio, I have with me the Ambassador James Kinobe. He's a commissioner with the National Resistance Movement Electoral Commission. He will be, of course, updating us on exactly what is going to be happening, what brought us to this point, and the general conduct of the elections. Many thanks for joining us, Ambassador.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be interfacing with the honorable young people here and our viewers out there, and I'm looking forward for a very good program.
Great. On the ambassador's left is Ezra Byakutangaza, aspiring Youth MP for Western.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. Colleagues, dear viewers, good morning.
On my immediate left is John Baptist Ouma, aspiring Youth MP for Eastern Uganda. Many thanks for making it to Morning at NTV.
The pleasure is absolutely mine, and good morning, viewers. I'm glad to be here.
And you're welcome to Gold Ikyiriza, aspiring National Female Youth Member of Parliament.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chris. To the viewers, thank you for being available at such a time, and I'm grateful to be here. Great,
we are honored. Now, just for a bit of clarity, when I say aspiring National Female Youth MP, that is the broader and greater ambition. But what you're dealing with right now is to be flag bearer for the NRM. National Resistance Movement. That is very much important. Let me begin with the Ambassador, James Kinobe. Your good offices as a commissioner with the NRM Electoral Commission does put you in the spot right about now. First things first, explain the circumstances that led up to this decision to have a rerun of the youth elections.
First of all, I'm submitting on behalf of the Electoral Commission. The Commission is the face of the NRM as far as this exercise is concerned. And definitely, there are many other players behind the Commission. Okay. So we need to own up that whatever goes wrong, credit has to, this credit goes to us, but of course what goes right, sometimes the credit is not easily earned. But I want to use the same opportunity to inform our viewers and young people here that we all know what happened in Nambole. In Nambole, we had the national conference, and it was an elective conference because it's a conference to get our leaders from the top of the party leadership, SEC, and then the special interest groups. We had 8 of them, and one of them, the historicals, all the leaders emerged unopposed. The other structures, 2 of them, the young people and the women, became a bit complicated, but eventually we managed to handle the women, and the young people were not handled, and finally the entrepreneurship themselves also collapsed, and we didn't have elections. So 2 elections were not held during that conference, while the others were successfully held. There were many reasons advanced at that time. Of course, given the conference we had, which had almost 20,000, the challenges were also there. But as you know, it's not very easy to clap with one hand. I think both parties had the contributions that finally led to the collapse of this exercise. For example, in the elections of the young people, the allegations of many impersonators who penetrated our structures. People may need to know that the Electoral Commission conducts elections but does not accredit delegates. Security mans the gates, which clears the people to enter there. So, whereas the blame goes on the Electoral Commission that we had many impersonators, but the role to prevent the impersonators was far beyond the Electoral Commission. But we own up because we are the face of the activity. Okay. So after they aborted the activities of the entrepreneurship and the young people, discussions have been going on in the structures of the party. Good enough, we managed to get the SEC, which is the Central Executive Committee, and the Chief Policy Maker. That's right. We had a discussion there, and several options were looked at to have these elections repeated. First option was to have the delegates back in Nambole at the national level. Second option was to go regional. Regional means Eastern, Central, Western, the traditional regions. And the third option was to go sub-region. The country has got several sub-regions which we use normally, like Greater Masaka, Greater Mbende, Karamoja, Chola, and so on. And then finally the option of the districts was to go directly to every district. In the discussions that ensued in SEC, it was observed that to avoid penetration and impersonation, it would be better to have the young people at the district level. Two, these are structures that have been elected right from the village. We believe that the young people also needed to be offloaded the burden of having costs to come back to the center, then bring their people and campaign, and then of course cluster them, where even other people who have the different intentions penetrate their structures. And three, it was easy to manage because when you decongest the crowd, so like the young people are over 3,000 voters, and the entrepreneurship are about 700. It is a huge number clustered in one place. So all the considerations were looked at, and it was decided that the district was most practical and feasible. And since that time, the engagements have been on the preparations, and the date has been set. 18th of this month, which is Thursday, will be the elections at all district levels. We have issued guidelines, and guidelines are clear about what to be done. For example, we want the young people and their voters to be at the district centers by at least 8, because we have even provided breakfast. They have breakfast. 10 o'clock we start our usual program of going through the names. We shall read the names register by register, so that we eliminate any chance of anybody penetrating where it shouldn't be. And then midday we have the elections, and the end. Results are going to be generated at the polling centers and electronically transmitted to a tally center which has been put at the headquarters. And to safeguard their interests, candidates are allowed to have at least 2 agents, each one, at the polling centers in the district. To cut their costs, we advise them to get agents who are among the delegates, because you don't have to ferry delegates to all the areas. Then at the tally center, they will be represented by at least 2 people per candidate. And we are talking about 24 slots. 24 slots of the young people, because we have their leaders of the special interest groups, but we also have the members of parliament. Finally, the regional MPs are going to be elected by their own regions, whereas we shall have the district elections. But now, for example, Gold Ikyiriza, who is coming from the east, it's only districts in the eastern region that will conduct elections at his level. Apart from my sister here, my daughter, the national female, and the structure, those are supposed to be elected nationally. So looking at the practicability of doing this, we have put in place so many players. Those who remember the Nambole elections, we had all those young people, but you had only 2 returning officers, one announced and the other on declare. This time around, we are putting all the district registrars plus the admins, the RDCs to oversee the exercise, so that you limit all opportunities of any fraud there. True, the transmission is instant. So once the DR is made, the declaration is made at the district, instantly at headquarters we shall have known. And I think our tally center is going to be open. So there is going to be a lot of transparency. And lastly, the delegates are facilitated by the party, and the candidates are facilitated by the party. So we want to see that this culture of monetizing elections among the players, either candidates or delegates demanding funds, is minimized, because this is an internal exercise, and the party is taking care of almost every cost, other than the personal transport of a candidate to go.
Ambassador, I'll be returning to the aspect of monetization of elections and the national resistance movement's seemingly huge hand in this dilemma and how best it can be rectified. But allow me give an opportunity to the aspirants to respond on the decision of the Central Executive Committee and whether it actually works well for each one of us. Let me begin with Mr. Ezra Byakutangaza.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Ambassador. In this conversation, we will respectfully speak out the minds of the young people.
Okay.
In our opinion as aspirants, and I'm glad Honorable Kinobe says there were consultations going on, and I presume that the young people should have been key stakeholders, because we feel. So I am afraid the decision of SEC and the Electoral Commission to proceed with the election on Thursday at district level is just a treatment to a symptom and not to the actual problem.
Yeah.
I think our issue, the questions we raised in Nambole that caused the postponement of the elections were not properly diagnosed. The perpetrators of these irregularities are still the ones in charge of the election. And this time round, even worse, because as candidates, we do not have a system to track. First of all, the decision made by SEC is not, well, in our view, is not constitutional. Because according to our NRM constitution, we should be elected in a national conference. In the event that the other election was postponed, the conference, we were not elected, it was incumbent upon SEC to consider reconvening another such conference or meeting. To make sure that this is, first of all, legal, but also they help us. We are young people, we are asking, and our question as the majority of the young people is, are we priority in this party as the young people? And if we are, is every young person, especially the underprivileged, let me tell you, and I want to tell all well-meaning Ugandans to the NRM, the historicals of the NRM, the chairperson of the NRM, all stakeholders like Ambassador says, the parties that play, all the players of the NRM need to know that there is a big segment of young people, or even of Ugandans, that feel left out in the NRM because it has zeroed down to being a capture of the people who think, who have benefited, in fact, the most from the NRM. And we are forgetting the fundamentals. The history of the NRM, the strength of the NRM has been the wananchi. From the word go, from the NRA times, the people who fought and won the Bush War were the wananchi under the leadership of the few armed historical
combatants at the time.
So it is important that we do not forget where we started from.
Okay.
As the delegates, I am one of the delegates. I'm the chairperson of the NRM Youth League in Masipot Sub-County in Chirianongo District. It is very unfortunate to see our party being handled. Manipulators, the perpetrators, the RDCs, the registrars, some of the registrars are voters in this election. And you're saying let them oversee the election. And you as a candidate you don't have a system. For example, as it is, I should be in Chiriandongo on Thursday, but I'm supposed to be elected in Chisoro. How should I establish that the administrator in Chisoro is a delegate and is therefore going to vote? And they have candidates. Some of these RDCs, some of these DPCs, already have instructions. We have key stakeholders, key state players who have taken positions. So it should have been upon SEC to realize that if a honorable minister, you've seen Honorable Bariomunsi cry over an election, and he's a minister of our party. He has been the chairperson, the vice chairperson of Western Uganda for all this time. Now, how do you really say Byakutangaza from Chiriandogo sub-county, from Masipot sub-county, who has chosen to sacrifice, because this is sacrificial, Chris.
Okay.
We have chosen to lead and take charge of the sustainability of our party out of sacrifice.
All right, thank you for that very passionate opinion. I'm sure Ambassador Kinobe will be responding to that a little bit later, especially on the constitutionality of the decentralization of this particular election down to the districts and not holding a new national convention, so to speak. But allow me ask the lady, Gold Ikyiriza. I'm sure you do agree with some of the concerns that Byakutangaza does relay, but your position or constituency is far broader than simply region or a particular constituency. You are national aspirant. I'm sure you have concerns that you need addressed. I'm glad we have the ambassador here. He will be listening in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. To the viewers, I'm really happy to be presenting to you this morning. One is I want to disagree with the decision that was taken by SEC, Central Executive Committee, where they sat. Of course, we didn't have any young person to represent our voices there.
Great.
And so there's kind of detachment from what is actually on ground, the actual emotions, the actual, the real things, realities that are happening on ground, and most of on the side of aspirants and the delegates themselves. When our election was put on hold, the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, actually announced to us that he's going to be the presiding officer of our election. And I'm wondering how he's going to do it in 151 districts in Uganda. So, honestly speaking, one, I think he's off his statements, because he stated that, yes, my Bazukulu, I'm going to be the presiding officer of your election. So NRM is, as a party, I think many of us, the young people, we are very disappointed. And we are at threat of what is yet to come up next. Yes, I am contesting at national level in 151 districts. All those are going to be, I have delegates, voters and supporters, okay, all over, countrywide. So just imagine how the election is going to be held. I am a sub-county chairperson of Kakamba sub-county Isingiro district, and on Thursday I have to be in my home district. And but then I have to monitor and to make sure that, yes, my agents are there on time, and I'm not cheated in any way, and I get the DRR forms on time. So the technical bit of it wasn't really considered at all. And besides that, it is even more risky now at district level, because the initial plan actually was we convene at central level, like in a central place, could be Chankwanzi, any other place, if Kololo is becoming a challenge, and then we vote district per district. Okay. You know, what happened in Kololo? After everything that happened there, I wrote an open letter to the president, chairman of the party. Unfortunately, I've not been responded from the same. Yet. However, it's the same letter really shows how we've been neglected as young people in this country, and also young people from humble backgrounds. It is very unfortunate that we have the brains, we have the mind, but actually we're being left out. And so the question is the party auctioning its positions to the wealthy people? Because now, given this whole circumstance, trust me, Chris, it is very hard for a peasantly daughter like Gold to really get transparency in such a system.
And fairness.
And besides that, I think there is need to review that decision. And I believe they can still sit. We kind of request they sit and as well look through the matter of how they decided, and what you're hearing, the meeting with the president, while it is the unsatisfaction that us, the young people, have in regards to what the party is persistently doing over and over again. Thank you.
All right. I'm glad the good ambassador was noting down those questions. He has a litany of them to respond to very shortly after John Baptist Ouma submits as the aspirant for Eastern Uganda Youth MP. You have similar concerns, maybe not.
Sure. I thank you. I want to first of all note that the Central Executive Committee is the topmost organ of the movement of our party. The decision made at that level is not an individual decision. So protection goes to the national chairman. It is not him that made the decision that we go and decentralize this election to district level. SEC made this decision. And where the concern and our interest is, and I can equally, by the way, give credit where it is due, the party has tried to organize other elections quite successfully. We only draw the line when it comes to the young people, when it comes to the entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs will have their case presented by themselves. we are not looking for a perfect election. We are looking for a free and fair election. How best do we arrive to that is the question in the House today. The Central Executive Committee thinks that by decentralizing this election at district level could be the best remedy for this election. But it only forgets that the presence of the national chairman while conducting this election in itself is a cure to quite a number of fears that the young people may have at conducting this level. I can guarantee you that if we were to have people get into the election area with election material, with monies, with bags of money, with guns, with threats, in the presence of the national chairperson, we believed, and we still believe, that can be curbed. Even the perpetrators of such crimes may fear to come into such a space. Last time we had the election without the national chairman, but I can assure you, during the SEC elections, when he was there was a smooth running of this election. It is only the simple and the quiet appeal the young people are making that we need you, the national chairman, to be available while we are conducting this election.
And the only scenario that can happen is when it's
when it is joint.
Single convention.
It's a single convention. We made arguments of district by district, not to be decentralized in these particular districts, but while in the same place, like they did for SEC. For SEC, they did regional, sub-regional districts, and districts were voting, but we were in the same what? Same area. Okay, what is now known, Kololo. So our humble prayer is that as we arrive to this, to an election that we think should be free and fair, the fears of the young people must be curbed. We had scenarios where some candidates could not afford to even pay agents while at the same venue. But now we have been decentralized to all over. I have to deal with 40 plus districts in Eastern Uganda. Me from Namaingo district, how will I monitor all the other 40 plus districts? That is where our fear is. If there could be a guarantee that this election is going to be very much well protected, very much well protected, then we could be ready mentally to go for that election. But lastly, we are dealing with a situation whereby we were worried of factors that could affect this election, finances, but now where it has reached, there are more external factors. The good ambassador says there are many stakeholders now on board, but we are forgetting consciously that these very stakeholders could be influencers of this very election to have their personal interests in this election. We have gotten RDCs, we have gotten administrators, we have gotten chairpersons elect now of this, we have gotten registrars. How sure are we that they're going to protect the interests of the young people and not their own individual interests? That's where our worry is.
Ambassador James Kinobe, the realities are stuck, and the national resistance movement is now facing quite a challenge. But if you don't mind, can you begin with the constitutionality of this decision? Somebody questioned that at the very beginning.
Now, first of all, there's nothing unconstitutional about this, because election is a process. And this process aborted at the tail end, polling. According to legal experts, I'm not one of them, that issue came up also, said why don't we have the issue during the consultation process. The issue came up, should we have another conference? The legal people guided that no, the other conference was a national conference, only that had components of elective, creating leadership and so on. Two, the entire process of the activity of elections was almost concluded, because candidates had campaigned, they had traversed the country, they have done everything, and what was only adjourned is polling. So a continuation of this process, the Constitution does not talk about where you should have elections. It was our convenience that for using the opportunity of having in one place, it was decided within our guidelines that we can have all these elections in one place. Otherwise, there's nothing specific that you should have elections even at the village or they should be at this area. Those are administrative issues. So I think the issue of constitutionality...
Does the Constitution specifically, and if I may use maybe a legal word, explicitly state that elections can be held?
There are articles in the Constitution that guide elections. General articles, those ones do not explicitly prohibit specific areas. The only thing that is very explicit there is the method, lining up, because there has been even contention along the way where you should be lining up. That one is explicitly put there that our elections must be by lining up. However, I think what is emerging from their submissions, their concerns that possibly they were not consulted fully to understand the feelings and their perceptions. It is true that with the process of consulting along the way did not bring them on board, and unfortunately the only leader who should have represented them in SEC had also been nullified by SEC. So it is true that structurally there was no deliberate consultations with them as far as their elections are concerned. I don't know, this might know now my personal understanding, that I think as a candidate, the bodies that are responsible for you becoming a leader and so on have that exclusive. I don't know whether it is still possible now, because we had made attempts to help them to meet the president, just to quell their fears and concerns, because that's, I think, the most important thing. Their fears and concerns about safety of the elections, about maybe distance and so on. But in terms of payment, it's the problem which I mentioned earlier on, monetization and concern. Because, for example, I don't see why an agent should be paid. All the delegates are going to be paid, and even in Ambole, to the extent some of the delegates were given 500,000 each to participate in that election. If really you're patriotic to your cause as a young people, why do you again want to demand some money from Ouma and Gold and my brother here for an extra job, when you are, as a delegate, you've been facilitated with the transport to come to the place, you've been given accommodation, we give them meals, and in turn we even give them out-of-pocket allowance. So the problem is also traitors within the youth movement, because the party supports 100% all the activities. And I wouldn't imagine that an agent of a candidate. I
think, honestly speaking, from
but because of the aspects we are now having in
from an outsider's point of view, the aspect of payment to the agents must not be an issue. The only reason it arises is on the capacity of those agents to actually do the job. He spoke about the fact
quality of the agents, the mindset of our people, and multiple eating. Let me tell you, even if you had them in Nambole, multiple eating. Even when you put them in Nambole, don't rule out the possibility that they can actually get facilitation from all the candidates, finally when they have just a single vote. So it's just a degeneration of our mindsets of our young people, and not even young people alone, most voters. We were told that the low turnout in our primaries was a result that some people had eaten from more than one person and were having a lining up.
They couldn't show up.
They didn't want to be embarrassed by lining in the wrong line when they had eaten from all the candidates. So this is something very different which we need to address. Otherwise, for the young people, the perception created that we're abandoning them is not correct. The president and the entire party is so passionate about these young people, and they remember when the president even told them, I'm very glad that I see many young people coming, not only in your structures, but even in other positions, because the Constitution does not prohibit them even to contest in other areas, and many of them participated. So it's a deliberate program, but now we are dealing with an emerging trend among our population of shifting away from the original principles. Even the reason why we fund the elections 100% is because of consideration of the role of the young people and their status in life. However, it is true that some people within our structures, individuals, maybe Kinobe, maybe another person, eventually end up having their own candidates. And I think that's why in this election, the tribunal was very express. He said, no, Dr. Tang, you have a son. get out of this and don't do this. But you're talking about Dr. Tanga, there are many other people who have children and spouses. We had a minister in Nambole, we had a minister in Nambole who had a daughter and decided to camp there with money and trying to bribe the children to pay. So this issue is a very big problem, and unfortunately as an electoral commission, we cannot curb that alone. Some of the money was passing through the gates where we have security people of high level, up to the level of SFC. Now the question is, how was this money going through the security, through SFC guards at the gate? These are issues which the young people had wanted to share with the president. And when they met us at the commission, it's not true that we never consulted you. We met them. They came to us, and we had advised.
You met some of them.
Oh yeah, especially the MPs. The MPs came in a consultative meeting. We shared some of these concerns, and we advised that some of these issues can be ably put across through the Secretary General's office to the principal himself. It's just unfortunate that because we wanted this election out of the way before we go into nominations, that it is dictated by this short term. But we want to appeal to our young leaders to be leaders. These are causes which you are going to stand for even when you become leaders tomorrow. And also appeal to the young fraternity that some of your people see are volunteers coming in to do leadership, not money minters. So don't extort money from them. Look at the candidates with their credibility and their ability to serve you, how they articulate the issues of the movement, how they understand it. But now when they say it is about money bags and so on, it becomes very unfortunate, because now money bags and people of influence.
It's understandable when somebody is afraid of the weight that money brings to decision making, especially on people who are already constrained individually. If I'm a delegate and for the last 6 months I've grappled to put food on the table on account of a lack of employment, maybe, or meager remuneration, I'll be compromised in a way or so. I'll even make the issue of money really important, like the agents do. But I think, Mr. Byakutangaza, if anything is to basically settle your fears on the unconstitutionality of this particular thing, do you believe in the leverage that consensus does provide to any one political organization in dealing with the contradictions of democracy itself? Just like the NRM finds itself right now, they have a timeline within which to work. We have an election, a general election coming up, nominations coming up, and within that time frame, the party has to get through some activities.
Thank you very much, Chris. Maybe before I go to that, I want to appeal to, we are struggling with a vice of entitlement in the NRM. There are people who think they are more important than the NRM as an organization, as a political movement. There are people who think they own it more than any other citizen who subscribes to the NRM. When the commissioner says they consulted with the youth MPs, it is true, but this is not their initiative. And that leads me to even what you're saying. Yes, I believe that consensus can be a remedy, even of unconstitutionalism. People can sit and agree to, I agree entirely. But where is that consensus? If me, who has volunteered or been convicted, because leadership is, I believe, is conviction. It is inborn, it is inbuilt. We have resolved individually. Here, if you ask these members of parliament here, you are struggling to invest money to enable you traverse. The commission here has not organized a single joint platform for people to campaign. The ambassador says people should vote according to credibility. He says in his communication, and these are things the chairman of the party, and I'm disappointed to always say the chairman of the party, because at this level, 40 years later, the institution of the NRM should be able to do everything without involvement of an individual.
Without appealing to the chairman.
The chairman should come in extreme circumstances. But it is unfortunate that up to now you go and you're meeting individuals and they cannot, the institutions are really away. So for me, it is unfortunate. For me, I think the commission should be deliberate to come up and say there is not a single debate. There is not a single orientation. There's not a single orientation that has been organized at sub-county level, at district level, for example, by the commission to do electoral sensitization and what? Where is the capacity that we are talking about?
Okay. I'm told that there is a meeting that is going to be happening. Is it today between some youth representatives or leaders, so to speak, with the president? Are you part of it, Mr. Ouma?
It's not yet clear on whether we are going to meet the president.
What information do you have?
We are meant to convene at the secretariat today.
Today, at the secretariat?
Yes, please.
In fact, the information we have, as of yesterday, we met the Secretary General and we asked him, we have to ask these hard questions if we have to have answers. We asked him to meet the chairperson and he said he's going to get back to us. He hasn't gotten back to us and we are going back to the secretariat to demand. Because this is our party.
But part of the information,
can you share with us?
But part of the information I think you shared, or you among your structure, is that you were advised to have a COVID test, which is a good indication that possibly something is going to happen. And
what something? A COVID test?
The meeting with the president. Once you go through that test.
The moment you're taken through a COVID test,
it's a good indication that possibly you have.
It's just an indication.
However, I want to appeal to the young people. I want to appeal to the young people that even if you meet the chairperson of the party, let us use the platform to allay your fears, but not to undo this, because the timelines we're already running into are actually very tight. And I would appeal to very young people, allay your fears and we get more directives to make sure that what you're worried about is actually contained. But we go ahead with the elections. I wouldn't advise you at all to boycott this election, because the boycott of the election is also
or even to make it a protest spectacle.
You can protest by participating, like we hear other people are going to participate by protest, but don't abstain away from an election. The moment you run away from it, even our regulations are very clear, you can't contest an election you have not participated in. So I would strongly advise the young people, I'll have the fears allayed, and we have already taken concerns. Here we are noting every issue that is causing your fears. And you are back in, when I go to the meeting, we're having a meeting today at 10 with the security committee, discuss those very aspects, and we're telling you cannot get rid of conflict of interest at all. We mitigate it, and we're going to make sure that in all the best interest of the young people and the elections, everything will be done to deliver a free and fair
Ambassador,
exercise.
later maybe you will share where Mr. Tango Doi will be spending the holidays since he's been suspended.
In Kisoko. Dr. Tang is in Kisoko back at home, and the commission is being run by the remaining 6 commissioners. But the functions are decentralized to all the representatives of the commission in the district levels, assisted by admins of the secretariats, and we are sure that the concerns are going to be handled with your help. Appoint your agents, make sure that people are there. Agents should not demand money from you because we are facilitating everything. By the way, they are getting the same allowances they would have got in Nambole when they are at the district, so they should not demand money from you.
Respond or submit on something, use 1 minute because I have a set of questions that we need to wrap this up.
The good ambassador said we are time constrained and the election should not be protested.
It's really a compressed timeline you want to
But the people that are mobilizing had on the high numbers for the president, even for the nomination, even after, to have the 10 million plus votes. Majority of those people are the young people. My only concern is we were ready to have this election as soon as yesterday. That was pushed. Must this election happen before the president's nomination? Must it now really happen before the president's nomination? Or can we have it after having an engagement with the national chairperson?
Thank you very much for those questions. We shall be seeking some answers. If Ambassador and eventual wrap on the Kickstarter, where we are of course looking at the decision by the Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement to rerun the youth elections on account of the debacle and the ugly spectacle that was at the Kololo event that saw incidents including the election of National Youth Chairperson there being marred with irregularities. I have with me in the studio the Commissioner at the NRM Electoral Commission, Ambassador James Kinobe. I have with me Ezra Byakutangaza, Aspirant Youth MP Western, John Baptist Ouma, Aspirant Youth MP Eastern, flag bearer, I should be very specific, for the National Resistance Movement, but of course the broader ambition is for the national position, as well as Gold Gold Ikyiriza, aspirant National Female Youth MP flag bearer for the National Resistance Movement. Gentlemen and ladies, we don't have a lot of time right about now. We shall be wrapping this conversation up, and to do that, let me begin on the extreme left, where we have Ezra Byakutangaza. In light of the clarification, the easing of fears that the good ambassador has done, there must be a window of opportunity within this, especially for the youth, and more especially for the candidates that are seeking to hold the flag. In the reality of the timeline is intense. The party must be able to work around it in order to be to position itself ahead of the election. Right now, to call for strict adherence to the Constitution when consensus can attend to some of these challenges would be unfair, maybe, so to speak.
Yes.
Within the arrangement that is available to you as a youth leader within the National Resistance Movement, what are the low-hanging fruits right now in order to rectify what you see as the wrong in the party?
Thank you very much, Chris. The low-hanging fruits, one of them is why we want to meet the chairman of the party. Today, it would be really realistic, so that at the bare minimum, if we cannot have a national convergence, a one-point polling area, we can have either sub-regional or regional. Because it's possible. It's possible to convene 9 districts. These are delegates of, for example, in my district, in my sub-region, 9 districts come together, or the 38 districts come together. These are like 20 delegates, 30 on averagely. We convene and do that. But short of that, I want to allay the ambassador's fears that none of us, at least both the league contestants and members of parliament, at least for me, I cannot fail to participate in this election. I am a candidate and I am going to participate as it may be, because I have to bow to the decision of and play according to, dance according to their rhythm. But we must also, even as we do this, we must make our position clear, both for the benefit of the current process, but also for the future. We must make our fears clear. But the biggest risk that we face as a party, in a system that is not really free and fair, is to have very incompetent leaders who are coming to compete with others. Many independent people, many other political parties facing the same positions, wanting to take on the same positions, and as you may even monitor the trend, even for members of parliament, even for the 11th parliament, the number of independents has been on the rise. It is going to be very unfortunate that we lose a parliamentary seat as the NRM party because we were just negligent. Thank you very much.
Interesting and quite a touchy issue there of the independence. I'm afraid that today the conversation cannot go into that particular issue. It's also one that is rich. Gold Ikyiriza, I would be unfair if I don't give you the opportunity to talk to your constituency. Away from the contradictions and the pains that the NRM has occasioned upon you, as you spoke earlier, there are messages that your constituency needs to align to, especially as we head into the election. I want you to speak from a national point of view to your electorate, because I know you will have time with the president to address some of your concerns if you were to meet him or a representative later today.
Yeah, thank you. Well, to my constituents, I believe it's really has not been a very good decision, actually not good decision, that SEC resolved to have elections at the district level. However, at the moment, we are working on a timeline, and in case of anything, we have to, of course, participate. Given the decision that was taken. Though we still have hope that once we meet the president today or the chairman of the party today, probably could be changed in regards to how it's going to happen. Because honestly speaking, I'll still say this, Ambassador, it is unfair for such an election to be held in districts for one that is contesting for National Youth MP. Okay. Though, to my dear supporters, there is need to still show up in such circumstances.
Showing up, that's the most important thing. There
is need to protect our votes all over.
Okay, thank you very much, Gold. I'm afraid I'm out of time. I'll allow a last word from Ouma, and then Mr. Kinobe will wrap this up before I go to my colleague, Rashul Adid, who's standing by.
First of all, the priority stakeholders in this election, I think, are the electorates. And everyone has gotten a role they play in an election process. The mantle is now before the voters. Before them are young, brilliant people who got the courage to go and pick nomination and were successfully nominated for these positions. But still, it is their responsibility to pick out who they think can best represent them in the next parliament, or who can hold the flag high up, sunk into the party ideology. I advise that we should refrain from having on table people I can call political broilers, maybe. People who are not sunk into the NRM ideology. Or I can call them genetically modified candidates who may not be well put to represent this party going forward. Right. I thank you, and I wish us all well, and I pray we really show up for this election, regardless of when it will be scheduled.
Ambassador, you give us your last word on this.
My last appeal is to our voters, the delegates who are going to vote, our young leaders. My appeal to you is that the party is taking care of all your needs and interests. Right from breakfast, when you report that we are providing lunch, we are providing out-of-pocket allowance, please don't extort money from our candidates. Once you are favored to be one of the agents of the candidates, do that. Make this patriotic, at least responsibility for once, to sustain the youth. The NRM chose a deliberate path to empower young people and disadvantaged people. And the reason why doing all this and the party funding all this is to empower your fraternity. So be patriotic to your colleagues who are candidates here. We don't need money bags, because they are going to produce leaders who are not sustainable, who are not the quality that you need. You can eat widely, but vote wisely.
Byakutangaza, one word.
Thank you very much to the electorates. To them fantasy, to them reality.
All right, let me also leave the fantasy where the fans or the flames that are fanning politics in the country are a little bit heavy on me today, but still stay within the realm. Let me go to my colleague Rashul Adidi, who is standing by. A very good morning, honorable to be Rashul Adidi, because I know you are also into the thick of the youth elections.